Good evening, everyone. Welcome, welcome. Thank you so much for joining us on this hot summer evening. We have some fans going. We know it's a little warm in the room, but it's going to be a great night of conversation and hearing from our new superintendent. My name is Boyende Onijala. I'm the Director of Communications and Community Outreach. And we, again, are just so excited that you've taken time out of your fun summer vacation schedules to be with us, to come learn about Dr. Yarbrough, and to connect with our community members. So we have a packed agenda. We're going to do a lot in an hour. I'm going to go over some housekeeping rules, and then we'll kick off our program. First thing, I just want you to note that you have some question feedback cards on the table. If we do not get to your question this evening, or if you're not comfortable standing up and sharing your question out loud, you are more than welcome to write it down on this card. We're going to walk around and collect them. The agenda for this evening, we're going to start off with a video from the county executive. Then we're going to hear from one of our board members who will then welcome our superintendent up for some remarks. I do want to take a moment to recognize some special guests in the audience. If you could please stand. Delegate Kathy Forbes, I saw her earlier. Welcome. Councilman Easy Patoka, please stand. Board member Christina Pumphrey, I saw her earlier, please stand. And board member Tiffany LaShawn Frempong, who we're going to hear from this evening. Welcome, welcome. And a round of applause for yourselves for being here. Thank you so much again. So tonight, Dr. Yarbrough has just a few slides where she'll share core values, philosophy. She wants to hear from you directly, so we're going to walk around at one point this evening with some chart paper where you'll get to talk as a group about your hopes and aspirations, challenges that face the system. Once we do that, we're going to walk around and we ask that you select one person who's going to report out and share one key thing from each category of questions. We are going to have two people working the mics tonight. A favor, please, do not take the mic from them. We're going to hold it for you. And that is to ensure that we can get to everyone who wants to share something. Because after we do the more structured sharing out from the questions that our new superintendent is going to pose, we're going to give you an opportunity to ask the superintendent questions that you want to ask, things that are on your mind. And so it's important that we move through those sections quickly. So again, I just ask that you please do not take the mic from us. We will come and we'll hold it for you so that we can work our way through the night's agenda. And I think I've covered all of the housekeeping. Again, reminder about the cards. If you have a question, concern, feedback that you don't feel comfortable sharing, or we don't get to you tonight because there are a lot of people in this room, we will walk around and collect them. So we're going to get started with a video from the county executive. I believe I've covered everything. If I haven't, you'll see me up here again. All right, so let's get started with the video.
Baltimore County Executive Johnny O here, and I just want to thank you and Dr. Miriam Yarbrough for being present tonight as she conducts her town halls and her meet and greets as she prepares to become our new BCPS superintendent. I have to say I'm really excited about the future of the school system and working with her and all of you. As county executive, as a former teacher, and now as the parent of a second grader in our county school system. But I really just want to thank all the faculty and staff members for being here and all you do, the community members, and Dr. Yarbrough for being available and transparent and accessible in this process. I really look forward to all that we're going to do together in partnership in the years ahead. Thanks again for coming out tonight.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Tiffany LaShawn Frempong, and I proudly serve as a member at large on the Board of Education of Baltimore County Public Schools. On behalf of the board, I would like to thank you for coming out and attending tonight's Meet the Superintendent event here at Towson High School. The school system has planned several meet and greets to provide members of the BCPS community opportunities to learn more about Dr. Yarbrough and her leadership priorities, ask questions, and share feedback. One more session will be held next week on Tuesday, July 18th at Randallstown High School. Dr. Yarbrough assumed the role of superintendent on July 1st. I know that she is eager to connect with the community and learn about your experiences with BCPS as students, staff, parents, guardians, and caregivers. Members of the board will also attend these meetings because we too want to hear from you about what's working well and areas for improvement. The board believes that Dr. Yarbrough has the experience, passion, and vision to serve BCPS. She is a thoughtful leader who is prepared to respond to the urgent needs of Team BCPS. Please join me in welcoming Dr. Miriam Yarbrough.
Well, good evening, everyone. Welcome on this very hot afternoon, but it's cooler in here than outside. So thank you for being here. As Ms. Onijala shared, this is really important to me to hear directly from you. As tonight is number 7 out of 8 community meet and greets, and it has been fascinating to hear as I've moved throughout Team BCPS the different concerns, challenges, as well as the celebrations for the work that we've been doing. I like to start all of these by sharing with everyone that I am a mom. I think my greatest accomplishment ever, and ever has been and ever will be, is to be a mom of 4 children. I have 2 sons and 2 daughters, and they range in age from 14 to 31. This is important to me because it really informs how I lead, it informs how I do my work, and I understand that every single one of them is different, and depending on what time of day, what month, what year, they're different, and it's the same for our 111,000 students that we are here to serve and take care of. My core value, number one thing for me, is keeping students first, making sure that our students are most important in everything that we do. And if as the adults we're having conversations that are too far away from the impact of students, it's my responsibility to bring us back to how does this inform or impact the work that we're doing with students. I believe that we must form positive relationships. The staff, in order to take care of our students, we must take care of our staff, and I mean all staff. We need to have positive relationships with each other and develop positive relationships with our students and with their families and with the community at large. Those relationships for me are built in respect and the truth, that we must be honest about the challenges that we face, but it's okay to identify the challenges as long as we're also sharing how we're going to respond to those challenges. It is part of our responsibility to give you an opportunity to give us some feedback on what your real experiences are, but also to empower you to be part of that problem solving. The challenges that we face as a school district is going to really take all of us to come together and problem solve, and mutual accountability, all of us to help each other to move forward on behalf of our students. I think the only other thing on that slide that I'd like to highlight is the standard of excellence. It is critically important for us that no matter who you are, no matter what school or what office you interact with, that you experience a certain standard of excellence that goes throughout our system, that we make information accessible, that we are responsive, and that we model a culture of respect as we move forward as a school system. I don't have my clicker today. So Ms. Onijala is helping me. And so this slide I've been sharing with everyone as some of the priorities that I see facing us as we move forward. These priorities are informed by analyzing our data, interacting with stakeholders, looking at our practices, and really asking, some of our students, our parents, our community members, what is our next level of work as a school system? There are 4 up here. I'm going to start with the first one, which is academic achievement. We have 111,000 students. It is our responsibility to make sure that they demonstrate high levels of learning. Demonstrate high levels of learning in a multitude of ways. In order to get to that, we have to take care of the other 3. You can take the other 3 in any order that you like. I'll go from the bottom up today. We need highly effective staff members. Part of having highly effective staff members is recruitment. The other part is retention. So you will note of late, we have announced some recruitment efforts, specifically our salary being the 2nd highest paid starting salary for teachers in the state of Maryland, incentives to come to high need schools, incentives to become a special educator. That's only half of it. The salaries and the bonuses. That's half of it. The other part is retention. When you get here, how do we make sure that you want to stay? Part of making sure that you want to stay is, I think, filling your cup with professional learning so that you can be the best practitioner that you are. Whether you are a teacher, whether you are an administrator, whether you are a groundskeeper, whether you are a clerical assistant, that you have the professional learning that you need to do your job as well as possible. But the other piece comes into climate, making sure that you feel valued, that you have an opportunity to share your input. And as I said, it's all right to share what the challenges and problems are. But as we share problems and challenges, we also have to be willing to offer solutions and be a part of problem solving together. You move right on up. Climate, as I just shared, how people feel in offices and schools. But then there's the safety piece. Schools have changed over the last decade and in terms of safety, and not for the better. And so it is important that we are leveraging technology to help us to engage with our emergency response partners as quickly as possible while allowing schools to still feel like schools. So that looks like AI in our camera systems that connect us directly to help. But it also looks like being very open and communicating, and it is surely warm. It also communicating what our expectations are and ensuring consistency of implementation. So you're going to see in August widespread communication campaign to parents and caregivers about our expectations, about the consequences for certain infractions. But you're also going to see us sharing resources, us sharing tools to support parents and caregivers. And then in the fall, we should be mutual accountable to each other that if decisions that are made that violate what we've shared, that we're consistent in terms of moving forward, and that we're also open with our communities in terms of sharing the information that is allowable to communities so you know how we're responding when there are issues. And then infrastructure. For all the members who are staff here, last Tuesday night, we are very grateful that the Board of Education approved an important contract for infrastructure, and that is really to make sure that all of our systems are talking to each other. That is to make sure that our data is clean data. Every operation that we have across Team BCPS in offices and schools starts with data. And so as a result of the cyber attack, what people have had to do to keep the school system moving forward is enter information in multiple sources. As you're entering information in multiple sources, you are being interrupted. Sometimes there's human error just by the nature of that, and it's taking longer for us to deliver services. And so we are incredibly excited about our opportunity to move forward with the implementation plan so that everything is simple, that we are very responsive, and we are extremely efficient as we move forward. And so now this is the part that I like. This is when I turn it over to you, where you have an opportunity to share directly with me. These are the 3 questions that I'd like you to focus on, and Ms. Anujala will be back in a moment just to reiterate some of the directions. But really, these 3 questions for you to consider at your table. What does BCPS do well that you want to see us continue? Number 2, what are some of your aspirations and hopes for us as a school system? Where do you want to see us a year from now, 2 years from now, 5 years from now? And finally, what are 2 areas of improvement that we need to address immediately?
All right, so we're going to take about 10 minutes to work through this section. Again, as I explained, after you've written down all of your thoughts and all of the ideas that you have, we're going to ask that you select one person, your spokesperson, for the table, and we'll walk around table by table and ask you to report out. You'll share one thing that you believe BCPS does well. You'll share one aspiration and hope, and then you'll share one area of improvement that you would like to see happen immediately. So take about 10 minutes. I'll give you a 2-minute warning, and then we'll get ready to share out. Thank you so much. Okay, we're ready to share out. Just reminding you all of the ground rules again. Pick one thing from each question that you would like to share. We have a lot of tables. Just take a look around this room. We have a lot of tables to get to. And then when we get to the question and answer portion, please ask your question in 30 seconds, okay? You can write down your longer thoughts and feedback, but your actual direct question for Dr. Yarbrough, we need it in about 30 seconds so we can get to as many people as possible. So my colleagues, Charlie and Mo, wave, are gonna start walking around. Please don't take the microphone, okay? Please don't take the microphone. And let's get started. Charlie, we'll start with you. Share out one thing from each question.
Okay, so for the things to continue in BCPS, I think we should continue to retain our staff with incentives because I see teachers who are here for 20 plus years. It's working, so continue that. And they're great teachers and staff. And aspirations is to ensure that students have a way to anonymously report bullying because many students don't feel comfortable telling somebody because they might feel like they will be, obviously pinpointed or a name will slip. So maybe if we could create like a website or use something that's already available so that students can easily just report, because I see the thing in focus, but that's attached to your name. We don't want our things attached to our names. So I think that's a huge thing. And for like immediate improvements, I see a lot of meals in the cafeteria and they're not the most nutritionally, So I think if we could see like better meals for students that are more easily accessible, because for many students in the county, this is some of their only food in the day. And they, we all need nutritionally balanced food. So if we could get better balance in our food, that would be great. Thank you.
All right, Mo, if you want to go over to the table. And while Mo is walking over, we want to recognize Dr. Geraldine Connor from Governor Westmore's office. Could you please stand to be recognized? Thank you so much for coming. Thank you.
Hi. We noticed that there is effective communication from staff members to parents, especially regarding accommodations in the IEP process, which we appreciate a lot. An aspiration and hope that we have for BCPS is to be one of the highest achieving districts. And I think that can go a lot of ways. That can be socially, emotionally, it can be test scores. I think there's a lot of things that looks like. It can include representation of all students. An immediate improvement that we wrote down was we would like to see accountability for everybody in the county. That includes students and higher up as well. There was recently an article about the previous superintendent and how there was possible retaliation against another staff member, and I do find that concerning. And accountability is especially important when in the community and on the Board of Education there is influence by extremist groups such as Moms for Liberty, who was here earlier, handing out explicit images. Well done.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, I'm good. Yeah. Hey, I'm Matt Jockmans. I'm a physics teacher here in Towson, actually right downstairs. So please, when you walk away, don't lock too hard. Otherwise, my rockets will fall off the ceiling, okay? The first thing we talked about, we want to see continue is the professional development, both the quality and the different things that are offered there is incredibly awesome, so thank you for that. For our aspirations and hopes, we hope to see even more cohesive collaboration across the system. When Baltimore County talks to each other and makes it good, it's really powerful for everybody involved. So that's a big thing for us. And finally, one of the areas of improvement that kind of hits close to home for a lot of us, we want to see proactive communication in situations in progress. It was a big thing that happened to us. It was incredibly scary for a lot of people here and their kids. And so you already talked about it, so thank you so much. But if you make that happen, we would love you for it. Thanks.
Things that we think BCPS is doing well, we wanted to start off right away and say that Dr. Yarbrough is making a great impression with these town halls around the community. It really feels like she wants to hear from many different people, and we appreciate that. We like the priorities that she laid out as well. That's on a lot of our minds. Our aspirations and hopes, of course, we want staffing, sub-support, salary, all of that. Parents to have greater input in the functioning of the system, more music support. We hope that things will improve and be a little different. We hope that special education gets the attention it deserves, that transportation is reliable, and that older facility buildings are addressed equitably across the county. That was more than one.
All right, thank you.
Thank you. And while Charlie's moving on to the next table, we just want to recognize Delegate Carl Jackson. If you could please stand. Thank you for joining us, sir.
Hello. One of the things that we believe that BCPS does very well is promoting staff when the staff chooses to be on that trajectory. And the other thing too, I had to add another one, is the extracurricular activities, not just sports, but in the arts, Model UN, etc. BCPS does very well. One of the things, the aspirations would be to remove the barriers for transportation so children or students could go to these clubs and activities. Sometimes even the barrier is because their grades are poor, and maybe find out why their grades are poor, and it's deeper than that, but removing those barriers. And then one of the areas of improvement or something, I don't really know how we could do this now, but I'm the PTSA president here at Towson, so I hear a lot. So one of the things, and this might be my own personal, is the Greenwood is a little top heavy, and we really need to support the schools. So really think about like our teachers. I think of it as like the teachers are here, and then everybody else is on top of them. I'm not a teacher. And they're trying their best to hold everything up. So really, if we can really help the teachers more. Thank you.
Hello, everyone. My name is Haley. I'm the Randallstown Youth President for the NAACP and the Maryland State Secretary for the Youth and College Division of NAACP. And so one, one of the things that BCPS does do well is the academics, the proximity of residences from school, where schools are closer to parents, so that students are able to walking distance from their home to their school. Community engagement, and how that some teachers that teach at specific schools do well more how they do at other schools. One of the aspirations and hopes that BCPS has is the improvement for food and equity, provide better transportation, improvement for academics, and provide equal access to resources across the county, meaning how there could be one resource better east and not west and north, so there could be better resource among all equally. And one of the improvements that could work for BCPS when in terms for benefits for full-time and temporary workers, meaning of health insurance, and things like that. Thank you.
All right, my name is Bradley Eastham. I am the instructional coach of health and physical education here at Towson High School. I've got one child here now. One graduated 2 years ago, and one will be here the following year. And I graduated in '95 from here, so unique experience. Anyhow, our group came up with several bullet points. First, what BCPS does well. For some of the people in our group who I think it was on the northwest side, they've felt that transportation has gotten better. Teacher pay, we were fired up about that. That was good, and certainly helped with that. Facility needs and updates, a little bit biased here at Towson High School. We're happy that we're going to be getting a renovation new build here. So, and it just seems like the county is paying attention to that. For aspirations and hopes, continued tech support, improving on tech support in terms of making, I guess, more available or a little bit more speedy in repair, and also new computers for students and teachers, giving students textbooks, also funding more for more support personnel in the building, and also continued development of trade education. We have 3 areas of improvement. I'll go over them quickly. First, one request was to replace Schoology with a more better user-friendly program. Safety, and also that there's a few levels. That was kind of a general topic, but you know, helping students feel more safe in the building as it relates to, we heard, you know, bullying, but also, you know, drug and alcohol use, whether it's during school, after school events, and you know, continued work on what we've already been doing as a school system in terms of ALICE training and things of that nature, just continued work with that. And finally, refocused or continued effort with effective discipline and behavior management. Restorative behavior management has been, studies show that that is a productive way, but also finding new ways, staff development, finding new ways to help teachers become more comfortable with it and efficient with the philosophies behind it.
And just a gentle reminder, pick one thing from each question so we can get through the rest of the tables. Thank you.
Which camera? Which camera? Right, yeah, which way? I don't feel like we have that much, but that camera, Lord, that one. Okay, we'll face over there. All right, no. Okay, sorry.
Oh, so.
All right. Let me move your chair, please. Okay.
Good evening. Good evening. My name is Kelly Hickey. I am on the board of directors for TAPCO. What we feel that BCPS does well, one of the things was collaborating with stakeholders and seeking input. So we really want to thank you for inviting us to the table so that we can have input. One of our aspirations was reflection and refinement of the curriculum to ensure that it is culturally relevant, that it's engaging, and also developmentally appropriate. And our improvements was addressing student discipline as noted in the handbook.
Thank you very much.
Good evening, Corey Krzyski, parent, to continue to do supplemental services like IEPs were mentioned, and speech therapy and therapy services like that. For aspirations, continue to strive for the highest academic standards, and for areas of improvement, student discipline, for school violence, and increased recruitment and retention for teachers. Thanks.
My teammates here and all of you for organizing this. All these are really important points. I just want to say that. And we chose one of them, I think that hasn't been said, and many of them have already, is the conscious discipline for social emotional learning that elementary schools had going on. And we'd like to see that more widespread. It seemed to trickle away over COVID and also through the years through middle school and high school. And thank you for mentioning bullying. One of the aspirations and hopes that we're looking for on another aspect of things is growing teachers as leaders and helping teachers teach other teachers and support other teachers, maybe teachers that have more experience, to help them and lift them up and support them through curriculum that is very accessible. Did I say that clear enough? Okay. The areas of improvement were recreational and social, a structured curriculum around SEL for the middle schoolers and the high schoolers. And just to get a little too personal here, just as a son that was bullied and pushed to the point of suicidal ideation and self-harm, this is a really important area for me. I can't say enough about it. He would come home and say, oh, in our lead classes, we just do homework and talk, you know, and stay on our phones. And that was really bothersome to me. If any of the students would actually like to talk about that after this, I'm also a mental health therapist, ironically. So a colleague of mine, I know this is kind of out the subject, but a colleague of mine and I are looking for input from students on how their needs can guide us in possibly helping, if not BCPS, but other private schools or other organizations within the schools like PFLAG and things like that to help social emotional learning in other ways. So thank you very much. If you guys want to add anything else, feel free.
Thanks a lot. Good job. Okay.
Hi, I'm Jessie Yeager. I'm a paraeducator at Hampton Elementary. I also have 2 students. One's still at Hampton, the other will be starting at Ridgely this year. One thing that we do really well is hire amazing people. Over the summer, I've seen several teachers come out to swim meets and encourage their students and other sporting events and things like that, and I know how much that means to the kids. I know these teachers care for these kids on every level, not just academic. For areas of aspiration, we need better building infrastructure. We need more, we need bigger. We have too many overcrowded schools. We're tired of all the boundary studies, shifting people back and forth, passing by certain schools to get to other schools where they are told to attend. So nobody's close to home. Nobody can attend after school activities because then there's no transportation and it's an hour bus ride anyway. Better transportation for magnets, and because that's not currently equitable. I'm not as familiar with magnets, so you need to speak to that. I will not. So our 2 areas of improvement, discipline has been mentioned a lot, and I'm grateful for the mention of conscious discipline. I really have been digging into restorative practices, and I would love to see that on a system-wide thing. I feel like every staff member should be trained in that. Every school should have a restorative practices session before the school year starts. I think it's something that we can really tap into that's already there, and to help with consistency through the whole discipline thing. Another thing is human resources and staffing. Paraeducators getting called to sub, and reading specialists getting called to sub, and things like that when the kids aren't getting their services. That's also where you see a lot of the behavior problems, because then they're well below. They know they're below, so they take it out on others. And so in order to restore our discipline problems, we really need to address our academic problems. Thanks.
I wish I could.
Let's go. Hello, everyone. My name is Trevor Connor, and I'm a recent high school graduate. Thank you. Appreciate it. So a couple of things that we wanted to improve on is providing more access to those that wanted to learn Spanish. And even those that are learning Spanish, what is that looking like? We learned that people that are from Spain or Cuba, the Spanish is different from what is being taught at the school. So we want to be able to balance that. Another thing that we want to improve on is mental health. Now, what does that look like? We recognize that mental health is not just race, but mental health involves in other spaces. So I feel that mental health that we mentioned in our team was how do we diversify mental health in teachers and students, and so they can be able to understand that we're all on the same page. We're all just trying to understand that this is trying to be like a family almost, you know? I think the black and white community, there is I don't want to say there is a hindrance between us. We're all a family right there, and that's something that we mentioned for it needs to improve. How do we improve the academia between us? And I think if we strengthen that, it would be a better strive for the next 4 years or so. So, yeah. Thank you.
All right. I think we got to all of our tables, so we're now going to take individual questions. We ask that you just raise your hand and someone will come to you. I saw a hand go up so fast. She is ready to ask her question. 30 seconds, please. You got to keep it tight because we have a lot of hands to get you. Her hand went up first. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I'd like to thank Dr. Yarborough for actually mentioning that it's okay to ask the hard questions. So I just wanted to mention in the last few years, 31 states, including DC, have made laws that require schools to employ structured literacy. It's been recently reported that 2/3 of our children in Baltimore County Public Schools are not proficient in reading. New York City has announced in May that they are going to move away from balanced literacy curriculum. So my question is, Dr. Yarborough, will you commit to the elimination of balanced literacy in Baltimore County, and if so, when?
Well, thank you for that question. What I can commit to you is by August to share directly with you what our plan is for literacy. So you know this is week 2. I am now meeting with, in addition to the community, I'm also meeting with the staff, and I think a strong program and strong leadership is really incorporating the voices of everyone else. And so this morning I had my first meeting with a portion of curriculum and instruction. I have more meetings with them to come. I need to hear their voices. As I'm hearing parents' voices, I'm hearing student voices, for us to come together along with our data from the last few years to decide on what the best course of action is, and that before school starts, you know exactly what we're going to do in literacy with our students. Because as I said before, academic achievement has to be our priority. That's the #1 reason why we exist. But we have to do it in a thoughtful way. We need to meet the needs of all students. And it's okay for you to expect us to be very clear about what we're going to be doing in classrooms, and for you to have access to the curriculum, and for you to keep us accountable in moving forward in the way that we commit to you. So coming soon. You're welcome.
Yeah. So my question is, as you may know, students get the PSAT and the SAT proctored in their sophomore and junior year. Most students will not score a 1,600 or even 1,000 moving forward. Students with approved accommodations through College Board, when it's time for them to take their tests, unfortunately, College Board does not always have a accommodation within a district. My question is, as the new superintendent coming in, to ensure those students with accommodations having a fair assessment and equitable access, is a partnership with our local community college, which we already have an MOU, but in an expansion will allow CCBC as a testing hub for when College Board will not be able to find testing accommodations within or outside of our district, so that students with approved accommodations will have a fair and equitable chance on the next level of education.
So I appreciate that question, and I would like to know a little bit more, because my experience, particularly in the high school, is you have to apply directly to the College Board for those accommodations. Even if you have school system accommodations, you must have the College Board approval. And then with that, we are bound as a school system to provide those accommodations for our students. Typically, that falls on our counseling department, as well as some of our other instructional staff, our paraeducator support, as well as teachers. And so I'd like to find a little bit more information about where there's a gap in service. Absolutely, Dr. Curtinitis is on the transition team, and absolutely we are talking about, with the exciting announcement of providing more people with access to community college for free, to expand that partnership. But I'd like to know internally more about the problem that you're running into and what we can do first in Team BCPS to make it work for our students, and if there's a need that is greater than what we can provide, then to reach out to those universities. So I'm happy to follow up to learn a little bit more about what you've been experiencing. Okay.
Hi. Again, my name is Jill Cox. I have been a teacher in Baltimore County for 24 years. I'm currently at Dumbarton Middle School, and I have a son who attends Hereford High and a son who attends Hereford Middle. And I'm curious, since you were hired from within and you've been here for a couple of years, I'm curious to know, what do you think BCPS does well? Why are you excited to be our new superintendent? Because I wouldn't want that job for all the money in the world. And what do you think needs immediate attention?
Well, I'll start from the bottom up. What I think needs immediate attention are those 4 areas: academic achievement, infrastructure, safety and climate, as well as recruitment and retention of highly effective staff. And I mean all staff from all areas. You know, I've shared that with members of Team BCPS because I started here. In a couple of weeks, I'll be able to say 27 years ago. I started as a chemistry teacher here, and we were at the top of the state. I came back almost 4 years ago. I've had an opportunity to dig real deep into our data over the years. I've been able to have several advisory groups ongoing where we talk about the challenges, we problem solve, have a very meaningful relationship and interactions with all of our unions, create focus groups for non-represented staff, speak to our students, respond to parents, you name it, engage with stakeholders monthly for a little more than a year, been going to the Council of PTAs to interact directly with our PTA presidents and answer their questions that they have and share information. And so all of those things have informed this list. So certainly we can make a long list, as we can in any school system, but I think these are the top 4 things that we need to prioritize and work on. So that's the third question. So instead of 2 areas, I gave you 4 areas that I think we need to work on. What are my aspirations and hopes for BCPS? It's that everyone in Baltimore County is proud of us, that everyone has a place where they belong. I mean that for staff, I mean that for students. I think everyone needs to feel that they are valued, that they are heard, and when there is a problem, and I say when there is a problem because it's a human business, so there will be challenges, that we're willing to say, here's the problem and here's what we're doing about it. And then I hope, as a result of the proper processes and structures, and that we are say and our do are aligned, that we move back to the top of the state. Those are my hopes and aspirations for Team BCPS. And lastly, what do we do well that I would like to see us continue? I think the people that we have here, I have never walked into a building where there's a lack of hard work. I've never walked into a building where I just see a bunch of kids running all over the place and they don't want to learn. So I think the belief that we have in students, our willingness, even when we're not sure what's going on in the world, to keep at it and to try to improve is something that I love, and I want us to continue to do that. I just want us to kind of come together around the problems and the challenges and how we're solving them, and then make sure that we are following through on our commitments so we can get to the top. So I appreciate those 3 questions, first time that they've been asked. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Christine Phillips. I am a 6th-year Spanish teacher, formerly of Woodlawn High School, now moving to Overlea High School. I'm also the chair of TABCO's Early Career Educator Committee. And just going to throw some numbers out there. There are 2,551 certificated educators in Baltimore County that have started within their last 5 years. Specifically, there are 300 SPED inclusion teachers. There are 145 SPED self-contained teachers. There are 143 ECE kindergarten teachers. What are you doing besides salary and bonuses to support those areas that have the highest turnover in the county?
So I appreciate that question as well. I think recruitment is one piece of it with, the finances and things like that, but the other piece is retention. And so in the spring, what we've worked on is really making sure that people have a voice and share what's working and what's not working. Together, TABCO leadership as well as executive directors, after schools have worked through educator councils, have gone through a few steps, and the climate is not what everyone wants it to be, we've sent in people on a listening and learning tour where staff members were able to make private appointments, that they met with both school leadership, not inside school leadership, so the executive directors as well as the TABCO president being there so that everyone feels empowered to speak their truth. They take all of that data together and then identify collaboratively what the next steps are for the school. I think opportunities like that, as well as next week, I think it is, where we have 2 days where we're meeting with principals and we're looking at culture and climate data, looking at what are next steps that we can take to improve culture and climate. What does valuing the input of staff look like? What does encouraging staff growth look like? Providing explicit, number one, expectations, and number two, the support that's needed in schools. That's what we started. Fourth quarter, that's what you're going to see continue. And we're also engaging in advisories. I have an advisory that will continue with school-based staff where they get to come and share feedback as well as problem solve what we need to do next steps. There's one for the administrators as well. We're going to have one this year for students so they can share from their perspective across levels what's working and what's not. So moving forward, recruitment is one piece. I agree with you. Okay, we get them in the door. Now we have to keep them here because the other piece of retention for me is professional learning, filling your cup so that you feel that you're the best that you can be and you have current information and we protect that time. So addressing working conditions, but really being open to how do we problem solve the real challenges, is going to be something that we started, something that we're going to continue, we're going to expand, and there are going to be a variety of opportunities for you to give feedback and input and let us know how we're doing. And if it's not working and we need to shift, for you to feel empowered to say we need to shift and for us to respond and then come back again and see how we're doing. Thank you.
Thank you. Hi, again, my name is Dr. Jarlyn Connor, and I just wanted to affirm you. I just wanted to say how much of a leadership that you are sharing and showing and implementing in the Baltimore County. It is not unnoticed, and we do appreciate you. We do admire what you're doing, and we thank you for that. And yes. This is not easy, but we definitely thank you for what you are doing. And if I may, can I, okay. So I wanted to just share with you certain things that are going on that your superintendent is definitely excited about as well as a leader. So one of the things that we're actually implementing for all high school students that have graduated in 2023 or 2022 or even in 2021, we are here to support those students in helping and navigating what direction that they would like to go in. If it's a 4-year university, if it's a 2-year community college, if it's military, or even if it's a trade school. We're here to support because we do not want any child left behind. And that's what your superintendent wants for you as well, for our students, So I want us to continue to encourage and pour love and support into her because, again, as I said, we all know that this job is not easy. But one thing is for sure, our children are our future. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi,
my name is Yan Hua. I work as an additional adult assistant for Timonium Elementary for 4 years. My question is because the first 2 years I work for the special kids classroom, autism. At the beginning, I have no experience. I just treat the kids as regular kids. But the kids autism, they bite me twice. So made me very scary. So then I go to see the doctor. I pay the medical bill by myself. So for our, for example, our additional adult assistant and also the school substitute teacher, we have no benefits of medical insurance. But I think the BCPS think the kids, the safety, the first important, but also I think the school teachers, staffs, the safety also important. So I hope BCPS can give a temporary position. For example, I know most company, if you work full-time or part-time, you have medical insurance from company. But for our BCPS system, our temporary position, for example, we as a substitute teacher or additional assistant, I work full-time, Monday to Friday, but no medical insurance. So if the BCPS want to keep the staff, keep the teacher, first they need to keep the teacher, staff safe. So if in the job, because if you take care of special need kids, autism, they bite me, they hurt me, they have no responsibility. So I hope the BCPS can protect our staff. Thank you.
Thank you. I appreciate you sharing. Safety, as I've identified, is one of our 4 priorities. And I think you've also, what you were referencing is contractual employment and the benefit difference between someone who's a full-time employee that's a contracted employee. So thank you for sharing that. Thank you.
So, hi, my name is Liliana Zevin. I am a rising junior here at Towson High School, so thank you for coming to Towson. We really appreciate it. So as a student, I just wanted to ask, so you talked about it a little bit, but how further are you going to involve student voices and student opinions in the county and sort of enable students to take greater action of their educations and the educations of others?
So I appreciate that question. The number one reason why we're here is you. 111,000 of you. So the ways that it's going to look for me as I conduct school visits, one of the groups that I'm always going to want to speak to from elementary on to high are students directly to find out what your experiences feel like, what they look like, what your impressions are, and anything that you want to share with me. I'm also going to have a student advisory group. Currently, I meet with my advisories every 3 weeks. For me, my advisories, I'm certainly going to go to SCJC and BOSS and other formal structures that we have, but I'm also looking for additional voices in the schools to participate in those advisories from our students. You have a wonderful brand new student member of the board, and so I would encourage you to reach out to Ms. Drummond so she can also represent your viewpoint. But the heart and soul of why we're here are our students. And so you can expect that when you see me out and about, the one thing that's going to cause me to be late is communicating with students. And you have, the same level of access that any other adult has to me. So look forward to the advisories. If you'd like to participate, please be there. I'll join some of the formal meetings that students have as well, but I'll be out and about at events as well as in schools visiting instruction to interact with students. Thank you.
Okay, I'm Kathleen Walther. I'm a retired BCPS 25 plus year employee. I was a speech language pathologist for many years. I was on the TABCO board of directors for many years, representing related services and all of my colleagues. I have a daughter, I'm proud to say, who has just finished her 7th year of teaching and is now department chair at a middle school in Baltimore County. As a retiree for over 15 years, I see the position of related services staff as not any better, in fact, a lot worse than it was. And the reason I left was because of some of the problems. My biggest concern right now is retention and recruitment of related services staff, specifically in my field. Because we have to, by the nature of our career, have to have a minimum of master's degree, have to work for 9 months under a clinical fellowship year plan, and be nationally certified and state licensed. My question to you is, to help with the retention and the recruitment of new SLPs, is it possible to pay them in the same manner that new nationally certified teachers, as my daughter has just completed the process, could those benefits, salary benefits, also be extended to nationally certified speech-language pathologists?
So thank you for that question. So the way that we're paying national board certified teachers, you know, we have to follow the direction that the state give us for those blueprint funds. However, one of the groups that I met with this morning, special education, where we did have related service providers, and part of our conversation turned to problem solving. So we talked about the incentives that we were putting, you know, out available to recruit service providers. We also talked about providing some more access for flexibility with part-time providers, and not being so rigid in our thinking that you need to be full-time. And another conversation that we had was around the same thing that we did last summer, working with universities about our interns, and you know, creating a pathway for interns to be in the classroom and receive that additional training on the job. Opening up those conversations with our university partners. The state has been very supportive in, you know, creative and innovative approaches, looking at the shortage, because we're not graduating enough, you know, related service providers or classroom teachers. And so we have a group that volunteered this morning. We are action oriented. We are working with human resources to start moving forward and see what we can do this summer, and then what we can do into the fall. Short answer is, we absolutely need to get those services to our students, and we're committed to thinking about it differently. It can't look the way that it's always looked, because there is a critical shortage, not just in Baltimore County, but everywhere. And so, thank you.
All right, we're going to take 2 more questions. Again, you can write your questions on the card. I just want to stress one of many opportunities the community has to engage and interact with Scarborough. I want to respect time, and it's hot in here, so we want to get you out and into your cool air-conditioned home. So we'll take a question back there.
Good. I'm a high school teacher at Hereford High School. I'm teaching AP African American Studies next year as a part of Pilot 2. I actually just came from the APSI down at Howard. My question to you, this is actually my 2nd year. I'm going into my 2nd year of teaching. What is your message to brand new teachers to Baltimore County, like about why this is a district where you can stay, where you can grow, and where you can be happy at?
So in short, my message to you is, we're committed to you, we're committed to our students, and you can count on us for the support that you need. So last year, part of that work looked like bringing all of our professional development. We have professional development in content, we have professional development and organizational development, and we also have it in human resources. Bringing all of those offices together so we can have a coordinated approach, one that doesn't overwhelm you, but one that is supportive, that focuses not only on content and pedagogy, but also on the social emotional needs that you have, that additional support and mentorship. And so I would say that Baltimore County is the place to be. We are going to support you, and we are committed to your success as well as our students' success. And so you have an opportunity to speak directly to us and let us know what your needs are. But we are very excited. One of our new appointments that happened at not this board meeting, but the previous board meeting, was a new director of teacher development, who actually was the principal here, Charlene Domino. And what that does is, she knows what we need as a former principal. She knows what we need at the end. And so she's able to use all of her experiences throughout the year, and throughout the years, and she has K through 12 experience and different relationships to help us move forward in terms of how we support teachers. And so I would say this is a place that cares about you. Our salary looks pretty good as well, and we have some new wellness programs, and this is a place that you can share openly what your concerns and challenges are, and we're willing to work together to address those challenges.
Hi, my name is Kathy Taylor. Actually, right at this school. And he is very intelligent, very smart. He's autistic, high functioning autistic.
Yes.
I'd like to know where you could get some money, really get some money to get a program for the summertime, because you have it for the elementary, you have it for the middle school, but you do not have it for the high school for academic support. He would have to be failing a class in order to have summer school during the summer. I think I cannot afford to have a private tutor with him. He's doing okay this summer, but all the other summers in, elementary, in middle school, he's had that support. This is the first summer we do not have that program. How can we get money so that these kids that, need some academic support during the summer, and then also during the school year too, some real tutors, not just the peer tutoring, but real tutors to help bolster that, keep that encouragement going so that we have a good, solid future going ahead into the world.
Well, I appreciate both of those questions. Anytime somebody wants summer school, I'm right there with you. Because currently we recommend and highly encourage, but what we know from data and what we know from research is some students must be in summer school. And so we have to work internally on how we make sure that that's a part of our work moving in the future. Until you just shared that our students receiving special services, we don't provide that option in high school. I didn't know it, so it's something we'll take back with the team. There are funds for summer school. There are opportunities, so it's something I'll take back to the team for us to explore. And the piece about tutoring, the state just announced about a week and a half ago a grant for tutoring during the school day. And so robust tutoring during the school day. And so we are meeting next week to talk about what those parameters are, what they might look like, and so we can submit our application so we can receive that funding, because we also know that the degree to which we are working within the time that's allocated to us during the school day, and we're not making everything after school on the weekends, we have a higher degree of likelihood that we're going to impact students in a positive way. So I appreciate you raising that. Anyone who wants to go to summer school is A-okay in my book, and we need to find a way to make sure that they have, access to our summer school seats. So thank you for that. I think that was the last question of the evening, but I did want to end by sharing just some trends that we heard this evening. So the first one is about food. I've got to share with you. In these meet and greets, we've heard comments about not enough food, not enough variety, people talking about nutritional content. I will tell you, federally, all of our food has to meet the nutritional guidelines, and that's audited on a regular basis. Might not be as tasty as we want, but we are working on taste and we are working on options. Ms. Hetzler is committed 100%. To making sure that we continue to expand those offerings. This year, fresh fruit and vegetables and produce came. We also had bento boxes and a few other options. So we're not there quite yet. I hear you loud and clear, my students. We're not there, but we're working on it, okay? Transportation, to continue to enhance our transportation services. What you can look forward to is the rollout of our mobile and web-based application for parents, families, and schools, where you can see in real time where we are and that we're on the way to pick up our students. I appreciate, the steps and measures that we've put in place in terms of bus discipline to ensure bus safety for all students. So we are continuing to make sure that we're improving our services and greater consistency. Safety, discipline, mental health. That is a theme that, of course, is 100% in alignment with what I've shared as a priority. Schools need to be safe, and that's the end of the sentence. We need to make sure that we are leveraging all technology, all of our partners, and all communication and resources possible to contribute to schools being safe. So that has to do with updating our code of conduct. It has to do with widespread communication. It has to do with consistent implementation, but it also has to do with providing resources to our families and to our caregivers and more mental health supports for our students. And so we too are committed to that. And so you should expect to hear a lot more information in August as we ramp up our communication before the school year. And then recruitment and retention. I think I've shared a few responses to recruitment and retention, because we know without high quality staff that feel a sense of ownership and a sense of purpose here, we're never going to get to our ultimate goal of academic achievement. And so I really want to thank each and every single one of you for coming out, for being willing to engage with me and really sharing your truth about challenges that you've experienced. And it's only through that constant engagement, as Ms. Onijala said, this is not a one and done. There will be a variety of opportunities on a variety of topics for you to give us feedback and vice versa. And it's only through working together, every single one of us across Baltimore County Public Schools, that we're going to be able to ensure that our students are able to excel. So thank you and have a good evening. It was very nice meeting all of you.